So, I think the weird thing you see on top of the slide illustrates what's happening. It started out as a map of a certain very key area in Europe where packaging is located. Then two twisted minds, myself and Google DeepMind, started messing with it. So now you see the zeros and ones, it symbolizes biodigital. And that's actually happening. Things are really weird, and that's a great time. It's a great time to be alive in a weird time. But also we should maybe remember that there's this old thing. Objects in the mirror are closer than they appear. Well, here objects in the mirror are older than they appear because digitalization is absolutely nothing new. If you think about the forest industry, so it has always used the latest in mathematics. If you have 1.0, water power, Newtonian calculus, and the social media then was printed. Then you used, James Maxwell came in, Maxwellian calculus, and the rise of industrial nations. Then automation and control theory, and automation superhighway. So it's perfectly natural that also the latest in mathematics, whatever, and there is such an array of new things that many of them go under the heading of artificial intelligence and data mining. So, but then also one thing, there seems to be a somehow perspective that everything interesting that has happened Industry 1.0 to 4.0 has happened in the West during the last 2 centuries. So Industry 4.0 was invented by somebody, and it reflects certain prejudices. So this is our view. Industry 1. It's a little longer view. It's more 13,000 years. So for us, industrial biomass started about 1100, 500 years before Christ. Rice was then domesticated in China, and that became a basis for systematic biomass industry. Not much digitalization at that moment. Abacus came a bit later. Then metals, iron smelting came around about 1500 BC, so that was a quantum leap. Energy storage, so, we talk about fuel cells, but the potato is really the key energy storage unit ever, because we had a climate change, kind of cold peaks in the little ice age in Europe, and the potatoes were pushed to the forefront of the diet. They gave the strength to the Europeans to energize labor and expansion. That was around 1770 AD. And now, let's say, 4th industrial revolution, so yes, IoT and the others, but if you think that we have to do it sustainably, so we have to have renewable materials and the digital, so we call it the ligno-digital age. And this is as much, everything here is true, so this 4.0 is as valid as the other one. But if we go further, so now we claim that actually the separation between, hey, we have the digital and we have the bio, and they are really separate, but somehow if we do them sequentially, so then we can do it. Actually, we have tested this project Twin Rivers for quite a while, and if you treat them equally, so they are all, physically they are different, and you definitely can't package anything in bits. Zeros and ones are really poor for food packaging, but you can combine them, integrate the data far better than can be told in a 10-minute presentation. But I would say when we talk about biodigital, so yes, there's a lot of interest, but I have to say that there's also, let's say, a reverse hype cycle here. So something truly smart begins. Hey, we can do things with digital, the data, and renewable materials, and clever new materials. It meets often a total trough of misunderstanding. What is this? Is it, is it a joke? No. well, then it's just a bullshit term, a technical, actual what people say. And even though it might be true, so this is not something we do. So even though we are quite gung-ho here today, and we are also, so the resistance to digitalization is really strong in many parts of the world and many companies also in Finland. Then when something goes further, so actually a few people and few companies realize actually this will work, then how it will work, then the whole overall efficiency will sink at the final stage, because then the software vendors step in and you will have a really complex, really expensive committee-based implementation which takes out all the good bits. But in the end, from the good idea to the implementation, you only lose about 60% of the good bits, and that's good enough. So if you think about Packaging Valley here, which is a platform we have where also digital plays a big role, so I've only picked 3 Ds for today: data, digital biosafety, and drones. So data, well, in 1998, I published at Pöyry the first, and also as an article, the first data mining of Pöyry's databases. So it has taken 20 years for this to become fashionable. If I had known it 20 years ago, I might have completely shifted sector. Fortunately, I didn't, because this has been a fun ride. But as you can see, it's more about scale, computer power, refined algorithms than something revolutionary. Packaging combinatorial is important, so we do combine. One of the big ideas there is use data for digital safety, use data in biological safety against biological viruses and digital viruses, and chemical safety. Drones is one thing, because just as an example, both, for instance, DARPA and NASA are dealing with edible drones, biodegradable drones that are also packaging for food delivery. So basically, this is an example. This is what you can do with packaging. It's a one-way ticket, as we call it, one-way ticket to Packaging Valley. And that's also in our workshop today. So let's say combinatorial innovation. Packaging Valley is a ecosystem of smaller and bigger companies with the most varied technological focus on insight. So even by not doing anything radically new, but just putting together the innovations, we can achieve a lot. So just by example, here we have environment. Sustainability is obviously a big thing. Waste streams, definitely one. Quality, we deal with high quality packaging. Digital safety, F-Secure is our ally and part of this. 3D printing, we have companies dealing with 3D printing. Consumer, obviously, consumer is a big player and has to be part of all. Emissions, yes, obviously the solutions try to avoid emissions. Recycling, circular economy, all of that. So you can actually start the ball rolling, and just one sustainable pack ID, so digital, safe, 3D printed, and reduce emissions. So that's the plot for our workshop today. Let's take the pieces we have in the Packaging Valley ecosystem and also other pieces. Let's combine them in different ways. And you know, there's Sturgeon's law, which says 90% of everything is crap. That's the official version. So, but if we have 10 new ideas and 90% are crap, so the one good idea is already a lot. So if we do a few, let's say 20 combinations, so by Sturgeon's law, 2 will be good. So in that sense, the possibilities in Finland of doing something completely new with also something we already have are in many places unique, and Packaging Valley is an example of that ecosystem. That it's an ecosystem built around it, and hopefully today will help us produce even more. Thank you.